Hello, everyone. I am Chup across the fourth, and I am joined by Tyson Hughes. Tyson, how are you doing?
I mean, we got the full name introduction. It's the final game of the day. It's grand finals. I'm so excited, Chuppa, here at the CE, or Collectors Emporium Mega Cup. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you've seen us kind of going through the day so far, and we have narrowed it down to our two final contestants of Jairo Contreras and Seung. You saw both of them advance through their top four games. They are competing for a lovely selection of prizes, which we're going to tell you about. We were showing off some of those lovely trophies earlier, but those were such a unique thing to be able to get at local events. I remember on Long Island in the distant past, we would have stuff like that. I haven't seen it in a little bit.
And here are our top four standings if you need a reminder of them as well. From before, we saw both of these matches play out. Both were very, very good games, to be honest. And that just makes me more excited because we've already gotten to see this talent. So seeing the talent to play against more talent is just amazing. So seeing both Jairo overtake Luca there and Seung overtake Corey to get to this finals is really, really cool. And here's also that prizing that we talked about. And we've talked about all day in combinations with those trophies. We, again, have $500 on the line for this game here. And that's the difference between $500 and $200 for the other finalists, which is a very big gap. But all of our trainers today, even in the top 8, you go home with 25 bucks. That's not bad. You make back your entry, and you get a little bit of stored credit as well as those fabled Journeyed Together booster packs, and, of course, the championship points.
Yeah, being able to walk away with this amount of prizing for top four at an event is just incredible. That is something that's doesn't always happen at locals, and very fortunate that our players today are supported by our judges and staff in being able to walk away with that kind of prizing. Let's look at our players here. We've got Seung on screen right now with that Koraidon, Fluttermane, Brute Bonnet, Chi-Yu, Iron Crown, and DD team that was popularized at Atlanta Regionals just a week ago by the two finalists using the same team. Seung actually used a completely different team when he won this event at a different cup at Collectors Emporium 2 weeks ago. So it seems he picked this team up and got talented with it very quickly.
And maybe he's just a talented player as well. I mean, this team, it definitely doesn't seem easy to use. There's a lot of offensive pieces, but choosing when to use them is very important. And we see Seung choosing these two offensive pieces as the lead, that being the Koraidon and the Brute Bonnet, giving that Brute Bonnet that defense boost that we saw earlier in the day, which is going to be very handy against this Entei, who is threatening super effective damage with a sun-boosted Sacred Fire.
Yeah, these Pokemon are all just threatening so much damage on each other right now. Let's say Calyrex Shadow could easily knock out the Koraidon with one Psychic if it doesn't want to turn into a Fire type. The Brute Bonnet probably has to worry about a Sacred Fire if it doesn't want to turn into a Water type.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see the Koraidon being the Terrasilize Pokemon in this match for Seung here, being that Terrafire is only going to boost its Fire-type damage more than actually is going to give it the stab on those Flare Blitzes and Flame Charges as well, as Astral Barrage is the move of choice here from Jairo, doing over 50% to that Koraidon, and Flame Charge being the move of choice here to get that +1 speed and bring Calyrex almost down to its Focus Sash. For all intents and purposes, basically down to its Focus Sash.
Yeah, ooh, Sacred Fire onto Brute Bonnet. So this is Brute Bonnet actually able to take one of those, no burn, so it's going to live to see another turn. So that calc was really the big question that I had going into this turn. Can Calyrex Shadow and Entei together take down the Brute Bonnet? The answer is no. Even in the sun, kind of giving Entei the attack boost on Sacred Fire and Brute Bonnet the defense boost. Brute Bonnet just the one coming out on top, I guess. And a Sucker Punch to finish off Shadow Rider.
Wow, a Sucker Punch. I mean, I think Seung just, again, a mastery of that team. It just understanding the calcs on the team, knowing you live something like that. That Sacred Fire, being able to live the turn and get the Spore, and then following off with the Sucker Punch, and doing so much to Entei too, with
that
Collision Course.
That is absolutely brutal damage on Collision Course. You have to remember, this isn't a Life Orb Koraidon or anything. There's no, the boost in plays or a Chalcom Pulse, and it is just that.
Absolutely, and Cornerstone is going to be the choice here for Switch, and the Ivy Cudgel is going to be doing super effective damage, but the Koraidon is going to be faster. The thing with the Brute Bonnet as well, that +1 defense, this is something I overheard Jairo talking about a little bit earlier after one of their other top 4 games, is that if you are Assault Vest Entei, unfortunately without Life Orb or Choice Band, you're not doing nearly as much damage as you want to. And I mean, we just saw it not able to knock out in Sun, a super effective damaging move into a Brute Bonnet.
Yeah, and this is, I guess a good example of, I don't know, Entei is holding an Assault Vest, which is, a great item for it in most cases, but it means like that Assault Vest just isn't doing anything for you against these two physical powerhouses. Entei going down before it can like connect an extreme speed or anything there. Poor guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, this means the Brute Bonnet, or excuse me, the Koraidon is going to go down, though, to an Ivy Cudgel, but I think this Koraidon got more than enough of its value. Yes, you bring your Terrestrialization, but you've gotten rid of Jairo's Restricted and Entei there on the field. The Seed Bomb here from Brute Bonnet is going to come out and do actually a really good amount of damage there to the Ogre Pawn Cornerstone, and the last Pokemon here for Jairo is going to be that Chien Pao.
I wonder if... Is Jairo still in this game? Because it feels like the start of this game has just been decisively bad for him. Seung has been doing whatever he wanted every single turn of the game. I wonder if Chien Pao is going to be able to turn the tide of things.
I think there's definitely a chance. I'm scared of the Sucker Punch here on this Brute Bonnet, potentially getting a knockout
we're just
there.
Seeing a forfeit.
And yeah, I mean, we see a forfeit, but I still think it's worth talking about what maybe Jairo could have done there is you have the Sucker Punch pressure from Seung's Brute Bonnet. Maybe if you get a Sucker Punch into the opposing slot and you not get the Brute Bonnet, or you get a critical hit on the Flutter Mane per chance of the
and
Sucker.
it is just going to be the Sash Flutter Mane too. Like that's definitely making things a little bit trickier. That Flutter Mane just has like an extremely safe Moonblast to deal with the Ogre Pawn. I wonder, like, maybe the other thing is, I feel like if you just play that game out for one more turn, you're very likely to figure out what Pokemon that Seung has in the back. And I feel like, you're not exactly giving Seung any valuable calcs by showing him something like, oh, your Moonblast knocks out my frail Ogre
Wait, no
Pawn
way.
from half. Yeah. And as the casters, we also don't know what Seung has in the back.
And I'm really
maybe
interested.
Jairo does, but we have to know too.
I mean, I'm really interested because I think it could legitimately be anything. Like, it could be the Chi-Yu, it could have been the Iron Crown, it could have been the Indeedee. I think all those have their own unique choices. Like, Chi-Yu could have been to boost the amount of damage that Flutter Mane was doing in the back. Iron Crown to resist extreme speeds. Indeedee to ignore priority in general. I think all three
my
of those.
money has to be on Chi-Yu because this is a Shadow Rider matchup.
Yeah.
And especially, I guess Terra Fire on the Chi-Yu is like really not ideal here. There's just nothing to do about those extreme speeds if they're pointed at it.
And
I think like even Entei's with Sword of Ruin can probably get rid of Chi-Yu being a pretty frail Pokemon.
If I had to take a guess, maybe it's the Indeedee as another Follow Me Pokemon and being immune to the Shadow Rider. Kind of the best of both worlds. Iron Crown, you resist it, but you don't have something like that. Entei could be very scary, or again, those Astral Barrages. So it probably is the Indeedee if we had to take a guess there to kind of have that Follow Me in the late game. If you do preserve the Koraidon for Seung, you have the Indeedee to bring next to your Koraidon, go for the Follow Me, guarantee that endgame against something like that Ivy Cudgel from the Ogre Pawn. But we kind of see both these players here really locking in. I mean, it's finals, right? There's $500 on the line compared to $200. Both these players really have to lock in to make sure they're able to win this game 2 to either take home the crown for Seung or for Jairo to make it to a game 3. And we actually see the Chi-Yu on lead.
Oh, wow. This is a really good position for Chi-Yu to find itself in. Like, these are two of the juiciest Snarl targets in the game. And that Snarl is going to give your Koraidon the room it needs to actually, like, get an attack off in front of the Shadow Rider where it might not be able to otherwise. Kind of like last game. This is just like, there's so much damage being traded here. Oh, Koraidon leaving. Wow.
And I like this a lot, not having to burn a Terrestrialization or get yourself stuck in an awkward position with the Protect. This also protects. This is a really well-played turn. This covers for Thunderclap into both slots, considering maybe if you double into the target, you go Thunderclap and Astral Barrage into the Koraidon. Yes, Protect covers that, but switching it Indeedee here next to the Chi-Yu guarantees that you can't get Thunderclapped and doubled up on the Chi-Yu. There's just no risk at this Chi-Yu taking that. And a free Snarl here into the Raging Bull as the Calyrex here on Jairo's side goes for the Protect. Snarl lowering the special attack there on the Raging Bull is going to be very big and making sure it doesn't do nearly as much damage. But Electro Web being the move of choice, and unfortunately a critical hit after that special attack drop.
Yeah, you would forget how strong these, like, you would forget that Electro Web and Snarl are both like 55 base power moves based on how much damage we saw them do there. Still, I don't think that Chi-Yu is in range of anything the Shadow Rider can go for, short of like maybe Terra Water Blast. If the Indeedee doesn't redirect it, could get it. That would be a really sneaky move to go for. But Astral Barrage is not going to get it and is going to let Chi-Yu snarl again. I feel like if you're Jairo, it's sort of just like, I don't know, staying on the offensive with these Electro Webs and maybe think about getting Shadow Rider out of here isn't so bad, or just going for Terra Water. Ooh, Jairo, you just protected. You can't do that again.
I mean, I think it's really scary. I think Raw Terra Blast makes a lot of sense here as well. I do think
Raw Terra Blast, the Indeedee.
I don't know if it was the Indeedee. I was really scared there if Seung kept in the Chi-Yu and actually went for another Snarl to bring it down to Focus Sash and goes for a Psychic to actually just knock out the Calyrex there. But instead, we see a Brute Bonnet switch in there, maybe covering for that Terra Water Blast that you mentioned before. We see the Indeedee stay in here, though. I think this is going to be a Psychic into the Calyrex Shadow Rider, potentially break that Focus Sash for a late-game Sucker Punch, or potentially damaging move from the Koraidon like a Flame Charge.
Yep, Psychic Seed Indeedee is actually like very safe to throw out an attack here. Oh! We're putting together the Brute Bonnet sweep.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to do a Brute Bonnet sweep, this is the perfect conditions to do it. You have the Qian Pao, not that it matters with the Focus Sash on the Calyrex Shadow Rider, but this Brute Bonnet under Trick Room now with the assistance of this Indeedee, once again, threatens with a double up knockout into the Calyrex, which is absolutely huge.
Like, I don't know, these, the Dark types are just so chilly against Calyrex. The fact that it can't hit you with Barrage for meaningful damage. It can't Psychic you at all. Terra Blast is just pretty wimpy damage when it's like a Terra Water set like this. I think this Brute Bonnet just has a lot of juicy Spore targets, and even if we see something like Ogerpon come in, like, Brute Bonnet and Indeedee are not really slouches in terms of damage. Like, they can deal with a frail Ogerpon like this. Ooh, Psychic into the Chen Pao.
And that's really interesting Spore there. I mean, just covering for the slot. You know Ogerpon is most likely coming into one of these slots, knowing that you want to redirect away those Spores that, you know, Brute Bond's going to be able to go for freely here under Trick Room. So being able to go for a Psychic there, either breaking the 30 on the Ogerpon or sporing the Qian Pao here in this instance.
One kind of nice thing about Chen Pao here is that Indeedee can't do anything to it. Like, I assume Chen Pao is going down to like two Seed Bombs, or like will almost go down to 2 Seed Bombs, but Indeedee still can't do anything about it. Indeedee realizing like, oh, maybe it wants to take advantage of something like a Ogerpon Protect and just get out of here. I think especially if you're just trying to keep up pressure on the Chen Pao slot with the Seed Bomb, this is a pretty safe swap.
I mean, Indeedee can't do anything, but Koraidon definitely can. And in front of a Qian Pao and an Ogerpon, we do see a turn one wake, though. And the Ice Spinner into the Brute Bonnet does so much damage.
Imagine if this had been into the Indeedee slot. Yeah. Like, Koraidon is not taking a Life Orb Ice Spinner. That would have been, like, a really clean knockout. Getting rid of Psychic Train is, like, still pretty good here. If, actually, yeah, Ogerpon is still going to keep this, like, as a, I don't know, not such a bad position for Jairo. Because it can, like, easily waste the Brute Bonnet attack, but then, like, what's the Koraidon going to do? Turn into a Fire type, perhaps?
I think Koraidon turning into a Fire type here makes the most sense. The resistance there to the Ice Spinner is going to be super big. Yes, you'll lose the resistance to something like Sucker Punch in the late game, but with tools like the Indeedee Psychic Terrain and having the Life Orb chip kind of take itself down, this is a fine spot to be if you're in Seung's
right, and
spot.
the Koraidon can even just start getting those like Flame Charge boosts right now.
Exactly. For when Trick Room's over as well, you're going to be able to move faster than everything, including that Calyrex, which is really important as we see here. So a Flame Charge and a Seed Bomb is going to be able to get rid of a huge threat, I think, for Seung's team. That Ivy Cudgel, you know, knocked out the Koraidon last game, not going to be able to now, and this Koraidon's at full HP.
Yeah, there's going to be one more turn of Trick Room, so it looks like Jairo maybe sees the Terra Fire coming, doesn't waste it on Koraidon. That's good. Like, I don't think he can afford to waste any attacks here. So it's going to be one more turn of Trick Room. Jairo has Raging Bolt isn't such a bad switch in here. The problem is, if I'm Seung, like, I think there's still a lot of turns of Sun to work with here. Like, I'm not actually counting my Sun carefully enough. I don't know if, like, Sun just came up. Oh, no, Sun just ended.
And that's because the Koraidon had switched out earlier to bring in the Indeedee and then get up the Trick Room. So much time has passed. The Sun, there's no more fun in the Sun, but I think that's fine. It's funny how it works out as well, because you'd actually be in a worse spot if Sun came up. In combination with the Chi-Yu, the Raging Bolt would have done even more.
Calyrex is faster than these two guys now.
Oh, right, because of Trick Room. But you do have Protect on the Koraidon to stall at that last turn. You do have to be careful of that. The Chi-Yu kind of is going to get knocked out for free here.
Yeah, Sacred Sword into that slot is just like Chi-Yu's going down or Indeedee's taking like a ton of damage as it comes in. Wow, Chi-Yu is so frail. I almost wonder if it would go down to something like a Life Orb Throat Chop from here. Chen Pao does not play around.
Yeah. Especially with that sort of ruin dropping the defenses of the Pokemon on the field. And then on top of that, Chi-Yu being very, very weak. And the Life Orb boost, as you mentioned before. It's basically halfway there to a Choice Band. It does so much damage. Unfortunately, it does come at the cost of your health. We see an Indeedee here valuing that Choice Scarf being faster. Just wanting to set up the terrain here makes a lot of sense for the Indeedee here. You're okay with it going down, or even if you protect this turn, guess what? You can redirect the next turn, and this is perfectly fine.
Sacred Sword, okay. See, the thing is, I wonder, like, I think this was Astral Barrage that we clicked. I wonder if this could have been Terra Water Blast. Like, who else is Terraing at this point in the game? Because this Barrage is not getting rid of Koraidon. Koraidon is going for a very significant attack here. Like, let's say Flame Charge into Pow. Okay, Flame Charge into Calyrex. I'm just trying to think about, like, I think Psychic Drain is more or less guaranteed to be up for the rest of the game at this point. Like, unless the Chen Pao goes for an Ice Spinner somehow, which doesn't feel that likely.
Yeah, and I think Spinner into the Chi-Yu actually might have been the correct play. You didn't really need... between, it's Choice Scarf, both your Pokemon underspeed the Chi-Yu. There's no way an Ice Spinner plus an Astral Barrage isn't enough to knock out the Indeedee, or knock out the Chi-Yu. So that covers for both the plays. The problem now is that you can't Thunderclap and you can't Sucker Punch the Koraidon.
He might have been trying to get it in one hit so that the Barrage would be single target on the Koraidon. That's the best thing I can think of. So now, like, this Koraidon has knockout pressure on either Mon. Doesn't look like Jairo's going to protect either, so he's, like, ready for one of these to go down to it. Who's Koraidon choosing?
And it's definitely going to be the Shadow Rider. That makes a lot of sense. You know that the Chi-Yu in the back here is going to be able to do lots of damage. And with the Life Orb kind of ticking down this Chen Pao, it's going to be very, very close.
Second.
But Spinner here to remove the terrain.
So let's think about what we're looking at here. And this is kind of like the thing that Jairo has saved this Terra for. He has access to, and correctly, like, his Pokemon haven't Terra'd yet, right? This is probably just Terra Electric Bolt we're looking at. I think that's what he's been trying to save it up for the whole time. The Terra Electric Thunderclap absolutely removes you through these Pokemon. Like, I don't think Bolt used its booster energy early in the game because it was fighting under Sun already, so it gets activated here. It has that Terra for another boost. There we go. Both these mons are in range. The thing is, I don't know if Chen Pao can get either of these mons with the Life Orb Sucker here. So the Bolt is, like, really the guy that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Astral Barrage maybe did a bit too much to the Koraidon for Seung to be comfortable with targeting down that Chen Pao to guarantee the Psychic Train stayed up, which might have explained that play. It's a scary position to be in. If you are able to bait out maybe two of the priority moves here and maybe get a free overheat, not free, but overheat into the Raging Bolt here and maybe get a critical hit or something, there's a chance, but it's looking very rough for Seung here.
Yeah, let's see. So, Koraidon protecting. So, with the plays that we saw Jairo lock in, this is Sucker for the Koraidon and Clap for the Chi-Yu. I'm pretty confident saying Chi-Yu is just going down to one of these, so I think this was kind of the play expecting, like, maybe the Thunderclap on the Koraidon and the Sucker Punch on the Chi-Yu. With Chi-Yu going down, we know that Koraidon can't fight against two mons, like spamming priority moves like this.
Yeah, and Jairo coming to the game, bringing the Raging Bolt. We haven't seen it all day, and I guess for good reason. It was saving its power for finals. It's supercharging itself up. Who needs more Rhydon when you have, again, this Raging Bolt that does very similar things, those strong electric moves, and actually has its own niche where the Thunderclap, unique to the Raging Bolt, allowing it to have priority, where Miraidon has its speed and the terrain and things like that. Raging Bolt makes up for it with the booster energy and the Thunderclap.
I think it's, like, interesting in a relatively, like, offensive matchup like this. For us who have actually seen, like, all four Pokemon on both sides by the mid-game, they're usually in more offensive matchups. You're seeing Pokemon, like, kind of get revealed in the late game. But in that game, both sides knew, like, oh, you swapped your Chi-Yu out early in the game. I have to worry about that. Oh, but you swapped out your Raging Bolt. I know that you have to worry about that. Jairo was really the one that came out on top, like, using Ice Spinner to clear Psychic Train not once but twice in a matchup like this. That is just something that you have to be playing so carefully to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. And managing those turns as well with your Chen Pao, considering it was Life Orb and you're losing so much HP as well, is really, really scary, because if you mismanage even a single turn of that wrong, for example, if a Chi-Yu, it came in on a Chi-Yu Snarl and even took a little bit of that 18 damage, that Chen Pao would have been gone, considering it was in the red at the end of that game. So it's very, very important to be managing the HP on all of your Pokemon and to making sure they're at the right place at the right time. And I think Jairo did a really good job at doing that this game.
So what was Seung doing differently game one that kind of netted him the win there? Like the Pokemon he led with were it was Koraidon and Brute Bond, I think, and Brute Bond was sort of just able to take the hits and like get an edge by being a little bit too tanky for Jairo to deal with. I wonder if we're going to see him like kind of go back to a strategy like that instead of playing it a little bit more aggressively with the Chi-Yu. Absolutely do not think the Chi-Yu strategy is bad. I think if I'm Seung, really the main thing I'm trying to do is just make sure that my Psychic Trade is actually up when I want it to be. Because if you can turn off Jairo's priority moves in the late game, I really think that's the recipe for success here.
But we are going to have the leads of our final Game 3 of Seung Lee versus Jairo Contreras. The Koraidon and the Flutter Mane there from Seung, and the Raging Bull and the Calyrex Shadow Rider from Jairo. This is going to be an amazing Game 3 here, finals at our Collector's Emporium Mega Cup. This lead is so offensive from both players. The Flutter Mane here taking advantage of that Sun with that Focus Sash is going to be able to live a combination of both of these attacks, that being the Astral Barrage and something like the Electro Web, or even a Thunderclap, forcing a double up into that Flutter Mane to make sure it gets knocked out. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty fast, I have to say, under the sun.
Yeah, I think I like this decision on Jairo's end to go with the Terra Water. Like, first time we've seen him use it all tournament. Maybe something that Seung's not used to playing around. I think this is a very tough play to call out. It's not like you want to go for something like a Moonblast Collision Course combo on it. Icy Wind, that is a miss onto the Calyrex. That is, like, really colossal. Still, the hit on Bolt, like, I assume that's going to put it in range of something like a Collision Course here. Here comes Barrage. We know this isn't getting knockouts. Like, it's a Sash Flutter Mane. Koraidon's not that frail. Still a lot of damage to be thrown down. What is Koraidon going to be trying to do here?
But I'm just really scared, right? That the Collision Course there is going to go into the Raging Bolt, it looks like there. That does so much damage. It doesn't get the knockout, though. And Electro Web misses the target. It's not the Flutter Mane.
Oh, my goodness.
So both of the speed control options miss the Pokemon with the Focus Sashes.
Yeah, oh my god. Those are both, like, absolutely
insane.
critical misses.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the Icy Wind there, well, there's so much there to break down, right? Both of those speed control options miss the Focus Sash. Again, missing the knockout there on the Flutter Mane and not breaking the Focus Sash there on the Calyrex is absolutely huge. You have the Terra Water there on the Calyrex, no Terra there from the Seung's side, but the Raging Bull lives on 4 HP as well.
Yeah, so this, the Flutter Mane is still the fastest Pokemon in the field. Ooh, remind me what set this Flutter Mane is. Are we just going to see it? Yep, go down to 1 Thunderclap. I wasn't sure if this would be something like swap in and in DD to make sure that your Flutter Mane is guaranteed to get off 1 more Icy Wind. I think you're pretty happy. Like, you know, Raging Bolt is in range of going down. Calyrex, it would be a pretty critical speed drop, and you'd break Focus Sash at the same time. Losing Flutter Mane there is like, now we have to look at something like, I don't know, maybe a Chi-Yu or a Brute Bonnet to put us back into the game. But I think dealing with the Terra Water Calyrex looks so much harder after losing the Flutter Mane there.
And I think maybe Seung was overthinking it. That was, I agree with you. The Indeedee coming in there would have probably been the best play to
We might
guarantee.
not have an Indeedee in the game.
That's fair as well. But to not bring it into Calyrex Shadow Rider, especially with something like the Chi-Yu, it seems very scary to not bring it. The Chi-Yu coming in here, though, isn't the end of the world. Something like Snarl will be able to finish off the Raging Bull, and with Koraidon here, you probably have to get a Double Protect or switch in the Indeedee this turn to not get Thunderclapped, but it's kind of looking rough for Seung here now that you've lost your Flutter Mane.
Yeah, Jairo realizing that with Focus Sash intact, he knows his Calyrex has speed advantage. Like, he just doesn't really care that much about what the Chi-Yu can do to him. This is going to be a pretty meaningful like Thunderclap into the Chi-Yu slot. Is this going to be the belated Indeedee? No, it's going to be Brute Bonnet.
So you were right that the Indeedee wasn't in the back, and I mean that explains why.
Yeah, it's 2 Dark types. It's a Flutter Mane. Like, you're bringing other strong Pokemon. How much is this Thunderclap Barrage combo going to do? I guess with the Snarl, it could live one of these. Ooh.
It's going to live, but it's not going to live comfortably. And the thing is, now Chi-Yu is locked into the Choice Scarf. So there's a lot of Pokemon that can come in the back like that Chien-Pao that just would not care about a Snarl at all.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely true. Let's see, because getting rid of this Brute Bonnet with the Sun in play is actually going to be something of a tall order, though. Like, it is just so tanky.
Yeah, considering you can't get both of your physical attackers on the field at the same time because your Calyrex Shadow Rider is alive, you can't even have something like the Chien-Pao plus the Ogerpon to kind of threaten down this Brute Bonnet. This is a very interesting play that we see potentially lock in here. I don't know if that's going to get the knockout.
What, the sucker?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe with the life orb. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
with the life orb.
the Chi Yu's gonzo to that. It's just like, is Brute Bonnet going to try and do anything like a Rage Powder to get around it? It's something that we haven't seen this Brute Bonnet click all day, I don't think.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, Seung's maybe waiting for the perfect moment to click it there, maybe taking advantage of that.
Ooh, there's Sucker Punch for the Chi Yu.
does get the knockout.
Okay, Seung absolutely needs to respond with like Spore on the Chen Pao slot to stay in this. Otherwise, things are going to start getting out of his control.
And this is a Seed Bomb. This might be really rough, but it is the
Spore.
There is still a game here. Seung is able to get a Spore on the Chen Pao. We're hoping that it stays asleep this time. Nighty-night. I mean, the sun is tons of fun, keeping everybody around, lounging about. The Koraidon here is on the field. You have to go for a double protect, or excuse me, not protect, not double protect, a single protect there on the Koraidon to maybe get a Seed Bomb off into the Calyrex here to get a knockout onto it.
I wonder if one barrage can actually get the Koraidon from here. I think it might end up being kind of close.
Oh, because of the Snarl.
We're at -1 right now.
Right, because of the Snarl, your Koraidon actually might be able to live. It's
it's
little
not like
risky.
you really want to have to click like Psychic and risk the Rage Powder coming out.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm Jairo, I'm just clicking Barrage and hoping for the best.
That's fair enough. I mean, if this is a Flame Charge into the Chen Pao, this is also very scary because you're going to be faster next turn. We see a Terastallization here from one of the Pokemon. Seung going for the Terrifier, just trying to do as much damage into the Pokemon as possible. This is going to be assumably a Flame Charge. Knowing that Ogerpon has to come in here to eat the hit, just trying to do as much damage. Astral Barrage at
-1. Koraidon does go down.
It's enough to get the knockout, and Koraidon is going to go down, and Seung is left with just the Brute Bonnet.
See, the Brute Bonnet, like, I think this is very likely something like Seed Bomb for the Calyrex. It is going to be Brute Bonnet against 2, and the Chen Pao's just on 1 turn of sleep. Like, Brute Bonnet does have a fighting chance at this.
I think it comes down to how many turns of Sun there are as well, because if you don't have Sun with the defense boost, the Chen Pao is going to do a lot of damage to you.
Because the Koraidon entered on turn 1, and the players are going at this game a little bit more aggressively, so I guess it makes sense it was about to end there. If you're Jairo, like, do you have any 100% ways to win this? I feel like...
Just Ivy Cudgel.
No, yeah, just Cudgel. Because if you try to Cudgel, like, I think, you know, this first turn, it probably isn't the most exciting. I guess if you're Seung side, you have to choose, like, where your Seed Bomb is going. But Seed Bomb into Sucker Punch is something that's going to have kill pressure against this Ogerpon. Yeah, it's not like that's getting in luck. Oh, yeah, if you try to Seed Bomb the Pal, like, now it's over.
Absolutely.
And reading a Spiky Shield from the Ogre.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Stays asleep.
But our friend Ogerpon is going to be able to finish the job, winning Jairo Contreras the Collector's Emporium Mega Cup.
And that's absolutely huge. Congratulations to both players there. And congratulations to Jairo there for taking the win. Absolutely well played. Phenomenal play from both of our trainers there today. And an amazing finals. And one that I'm happy I got the cast with you, Chuppa.
Absolutely, yeah. That was a really fun set to end out the day. I love that we got to see a best of 3 between, like, Seung especially is a player who's established himself on the international stage lately. So it's good to see him still kind of showing his stuff at the local events and of course, against someone like Jairo, who's been a staple of these events for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, we got to see Raging Bolt today. Like, I was waiting all day for the guy, and he finally showed up. I mean, it made tons of sense in this matchup, taking advantage of the sun that Seung was kind of setting up for free, basically, knowing that Koraidon has to come here anyways. Setting it up and taking advantage of it with the booster energy and the Terra Electric and just doing so much damage. And that Dragon Electric typing is just so good into a team like this. And that Life Orb Chen Pao, maybe I'll give that a try.
Yeah, Jairo made all, like, the sets on this team look really good. Just a team capable of doing a lot of damage, even if, like, I don't know. I'd say it's, like, not super technical in the sense that there's, like, I don't know, nothing about this team is doing something that you haven't seen before. It's just, like, the amount of damage that it's outputting is really, like, the remarkable thing about it. The fact that the Raging Bolt is foregoing moves like Protect to have all these, like, other great coverage moves that it wants to use.
But that's going to be it from us. Again, I'm Tyson Hughes, joined here by Chuppa Cross. Here's a final look at our standings before we close out. Here again, our winner, our first place winner, taking home $500 is going to be Jairo Contreras. And our second place, Seung Lee, our second finalist. And then the rest of our top 8 is there on screen for you guys to witness as well. And again, first place, taking home $500, 50% store credit, a booster box of Journey Together, and 50 championship points. Again, I'm Tyson Hughes, joined here by Chuba Cross. It has been a blast casting here at the Collectors Emporium Mega Cup. Thank you to all the staff for putting on the event and making sure everything ran smoothly. And thank you to all the players for coming out as well. VG and TCG making sure events like this happen in the first place. You guys are the reason why we can do things like this in the first place. And without a further ado, I think that's going to be it from us today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure casting for you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to hold more events like this for you in the future. We're lucky to have a place out on Long Island that we can hold these streams at. Not every venue is capable of it, but it's really great to be able to attend events at the places that do have a stream setup like this.
Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.